You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 194.2.5, our boys basketball postseason preview for the Oak Hill Eagles, featuring head coach Kevin Renbarger.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, basketball fans, to our boys basketball Oak Hill postseason preview. Today is March 4th, 2025. It's a Tuesday, and it's the opening day of the IHSA boys basketball postseason. So, obviously, it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I love Central Indiana basketball, coming to you today from Madison Grant High School. Producer Susie is in the control room at headquarters in Jeffersonville. Coming up shortly is my pre-sectional conversation with Oak Hill head coach Kevin Renbarger. That's coming up momentarily. Please first go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got lots of cool stuff going on there. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report. We are really easy to find. Even if you're already subscribed at SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon, or Apple, I'm asking you to please go over to YouTube and subscribe there. Oak Hill has had an interesting season. They lost to Manchester 76-36 in game number 2, lost to upstart Eastbrook in the Grant 4, but recovered to win 16 games and another CIC championship. The Golden Eagles are 10-3 in 2025, and the only losses were against really good teams on the road, Tipton Lapel and co-CIC champion Blackford. Of course, Oak Hill is led by sophomore Jace Tonigal and junior RJ Shugart, so next year is going to be a great one in Converse, but they believe that they're ready to win now. They don't play until Friday and will be huge favorites in the semifinals against either Cass or Wabash, then likely that same Manchester team that beat the Eagles by 40 points in November. Head coach Kevin Renbarger is in his 20th season as Oak Hill's head coach. He led his alma maters to sectional championships in 2015 and 16, and sectional, regional, and semi-state championships in 2018. However, Oak Hill has not won a sectional since then. Please stay tuned for Oak Hill head coach Kevin Renbarger.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Oak Hill head coach Kevin Renbarger. Coach, you have to like the way your team's playing heading into the postseason here.
Yeah, we've had really 2 pretty good weeks of play here. Even though we lost to Tipton, I thought we played pretty well. We just shot, badly, especially from the three-point line. I think we're 3 of 16 from the three-point line. Played really good defense, and I just thought overall played well. We finished our conference play with Elwood, and I thought played well. But then the last week was just tremendous. Going over to Northwestern, didn't get off to a great start. And then coming back and winning that basketball game. And then I thought put pretty much 3 quarters, the third quarter coming out of the halftime was not great. We probably would have been better served if there was no halftime the way we played that first half against Delta. Easily the best half of basketball that we've played all year. So, I don't think I could have asked anything, a better scenario or asked anything better out of our kids than what we've done the last 2 weeks here.
In the Northwestern game, you guys sat Jace Tonigal for a little bit. Was that to just kind of send a message to kind of wake him up a little bit? Because after he had to sit and he wasn't in foul trouble at the time, that kind of woke him up. Was that kind of the plan there to get him on the bench and get a little extra motivation to get his head in the game?
I suppose so. I mean, it was, I don't know about motivation or anything like that. We don't play head games. We're pretty straightforward. If there's a level of, of culture to me at Oak Hill, and sometimes you need to refocus a little bit, and I think that refocus helped him most definitely. I think it also helped. The secondary effect, and this was not the reason why we did it, but the secondary effect was it helped the kids on the floor this late in the year to continue to kind of chip away a little bit while Jace was, kind of gathering his thoughts over there on the bench. So, he didn't start out particularly well, but he ended well. And you're talking about one stretch out of 22 games where he was kind of subpar. Jace has been pretty solid and pretty level in regards to what he gives us, which is a high level every basketball game. And I thought, for 3.5 quarters, he played pretty well as some of the other ones did over there against Northwestern.
Talk about your guys' draw that you got. You get the bye, and you're going to play the winner of Eastern or not Eastern, Wabash and Lewis Cass. You got to feel good about your draw coming into the tournament playing your best basketball.
Yeah, we are, and I suppose some people would think that there's a potential that you could lose your mojo. But I've said this a number of times, and I think I said this to Greg earlier. I think this basketball team needs a little bit of a rest. We need to, be able to watch some film of ourselves. We've done nothing but prepare for other teams over the last month or so, playing almost a borderline NBA schedule with the Tuesday, Friday, Saturday scenario. So, I think they need some time to get their legs back underneath them. They are tired. They're physically tired. They're mentally tired. Coach is physically tired and mentally tired. So we all kind of need a little bit of a break here to reset and make sure that we have the best version of Oak Hill basketball on the floor Friday night for whoever we play.
But when you're playing this well, is there a little bit of fear of losing some momentum?
Oh, sure. We played, for 3 quarters, played pretty well against Northwestern, then played again 3 quarters of pretty good basketball against Delta. There's always that fear, but you spend a lot of the season, the middle part, especially January, we play, Eastbrook, take a week off, play Alexandria, take a week off, and then play Madison Grant Lapel. So, everything in the season is done for practice when you need it later in the year. And, this is one of those things. But I would normally not want the bye. I would prefer to get the sectional jitters out of the way and continue on. But, because of cancellations and some other scheduling conflicts that we had to put some teams where they wouldn't normally be, we've just played a ton of basketball games, and we need some time to focus on ourselves. But more importantly, we just need time to get away from it a bit and, again, just kind of make sure that our best brand is on the floor Friday night.
Based on all the numbers, the other good news from the draw, if you think getting the bye is good news, and it is in that you only have to win 2 games instead of 3. Possibly the 3 best teams other than you are on the other side of the bracket. Any fear of overlooking a Lewis Cass team that just had a really nice win on Friday over Central Catholic, or a winless Wabash team that isn't incompetent?
No, I mean, that's the thing. We see things on film, and that's up to us as coaches to translate those things over to the kids. We've seen Wabash play particularly well against, an Eastbrook team. Had a chance to win that late. They took a Northwestern team that just had us down 12 to overtime and actually had a chance in regulation. And I would say probably was a bad call away from winning that game in regulation. Cass, when you're talking about beating LCC, anytime you can do that, that's a good thing, particularly given that it was senior night and it wasn't necessarily their starting lineup that started that basketball game. But those are all things that we know as coaches we have to translate over to the kids. I was asked that question earlier in the week, and I'll tell you that, the way we came out and played against Elwood is a good sign. I thought we brought the energy and the effort and the mental concentration. The kids thus far have not given me a reason not to trust them. And so that's kind of the approach that we're going to have. It all depends on the week of practice that you have, and that'll start tomorrow. We'll go in with the mindset that, it's one and done, and anybody can beat you one and done. That happened to us several years ago. We beat a very, I wouldn't say great Manchester team by 21 points very early in the season, and then lost to them on a last-second shot, and that's way back in the day. But so it does happen. It's happened to us.
Definitely happens.
And so it's something that you have to get through. That the focus is on. You can't win a sectional on Friday night, but you certainly can lose it.
Talk about Landon Cruz, and this week for you guys, he had 12 points. against Northwestern. Went 4 for 4 from three that night. Had a really solid game again on Friday night. He had a huge week producing numbers for your basketball team.
Yeah, anytime we can have a consistent third scorer, it takes pressure off of Jace in particular. RJ's pretty good and adept at creating his own shots, and he's not garnering as much attention as Jace does when he has the ball. And so to get that third score to spread the floor out, when Jace and RJ both are gonna make winning plays. And so if that winning play means you're being double teamed and you need to pass to the extra person, that extra person needs to hit the shot, obviously. And that's been, somewhat of a struggle at times. But Landon shot the ball extremely well Tuesday night, and he shot the ball well Friday night. More importantly, Friday night was a lot of shots with contact and a lot of shots in traffic, which he has struggled with this year. So, finding that third consistent scorer is always going to be big for us because it does, take the double teams away. It'll take the hard hedges on the pick and rolls away. And, when Jace can get even up with somebody, it makes our offense a lot better. And it obviously opens scoring lanes up for him as well.
Thank you so much to Coach Renbarger for always being available to talk to the Central Indiana Sports Report listeners. Always appreciate his time. Always appreciate your time as well. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Please do us a favor if you want to see us continue to grow and thrive, and tell your friends about the Central Indiana Sports Report. And again, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe there, even if you're subscribed elsewhere. Thank you. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.